Hello, welcome to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading 1 Kings chapter 10. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, It was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit, I believed not the words, until I came and mine eyes had seen it, and behold, the half was not told by me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices, very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram, that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almug trees and precious stones. And the king made of the almug trees pillars for the house of the Lord, and for the king's house harps also, and psalteries for singers. There came no such almug trees, nor were seen unto this day. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever she asked, beside that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold. Beside that he had of the merchantmen, and of the traffic of the spice merchants, and of all the kings of Arabia, and of the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went to one target. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with the best gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there were stays on either side of the place of the seat, and 2 lions stood beside the stays. And 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold, none were of silver. It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon. But the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish with the navy of Hiram. Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory, and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom, and all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver, and vessels of gold, and garments, and armor, and spices, horses, and mules, a rate year by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made he to be as the sycamore trees that are in the vale, for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. And a chariot came up. Ugh, I don't know why it does this sometimes. Dear. And verse 29. And the chariot came up and went out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria did they bring them out by their means. In the last chapter, 1 Kings 9, God appears to Solomon to encourage him. We learn that King Hiram originally was offered 20 cities in exchange for helping Solomon build the temple in his own home. Our current chapter, 1 Kings 10. The Queen of Sheba hears of Solomon's successful kingdom. She visits him to investigate. Summarizing 1 Kings chapter 10. I was really excited about this, or about the photo that I found, because I found for Queen Sheba a woman who looks ethnic, looks like she has locks. Uh, Not that but just every single time I type in a chapter trying to find photos for these uploads, I mean, I guess I just don't understand why the figures of the Bible can't be sort of like a rainbow. But this photo of Queen Sheba that I found, I liked it because it looks like she has locks and I have my hair locked up. She's wearing pink, and obviously I love pink. My microphone is pink. The flowers in my room are pink. My dresser is pink. My curtains are pink. My bed is pink. Pink is honestly the best color that God has made. So after that, gold, and then after that, black. So I was just happy to see that a woman that looks like she has her hair in locks, that looks like she's ethnic somewhat, and wearing pink, that was like a source of happiness, because again, you never see that. I mean, it's always an olive skinned person. All right, summarizing 1 Kings chapter 10. Get back to the Bible. So in verse 1, Queen Sheba heard of Solomon, and she came to test him. And what this just sounds like is a woman hears of a man who has this great reputation, and she doesn't believe it because, I mean, really, remember his father, King David. He was king, but he served for a fractured nation where most of Israel was against him. So Solomon comes, he's wise, he has peace in all the land, he has, you know, his reputation just is so great. And it's just kind of like, after your dad, you're the one that's going to be great. But this woman came to test him and she couldn't find anything. He really was a king. So she came with her own wealth because she wanted him. What this seems like, she doesn't really seem like she's interested in him sexually or interested in marriage with him. It's like she wanted to show herself that, like, I'm not one of these women that's trying to get in your kingdom. I've got my own kingdom, and I'm here to bring you something to help you out. Okay? Because it's adding wealth to his kingdom to bring spices, gold, jewels. And she brought this to him because she wanted something from him. So that's another thing. She wanted his time, and she didn't want to sleep with him, or that's what we're reading now. Maybe she did, we weren't there. But it doesn't seem like she wanted anything from him but to really just see if his kingdom really was matching with the reputation that precedes him. She realized how wise he was, and she looked around at everything he had, because it isn't just what the man says, it's how the people around him are living as well. So the palace he built, she was overwhelmed. She was impressed with him, that his reputation actually matched what he was living. She was amazed at the food he was able to eat. his officials, their clothing, even the offerings he was able to make, because that says something about the amount of money and the resources a person is able to control, right? Because you're making these offerings of animals, and they have to meet certain conditions to be a desirable offering to God. Solomon was able to offer a lot. So he answers all her questions. Verses 4 through 9. Okay, she realized how wise he was, saw what he built, saw what the people that was serving him were wearing. Even the people that worked for him looked good, which is important. Because if the king looks good, but everybody who works for him looks shabby, well, it just kind of looks like he's exploiting everyone to his benefit. But if he's able to provide for everyone around him, I mean, it just makes him look like this larger than life uh, entity. So she said, "Everything I heard about you is true. I didn't believe it until I saw it with my own eyes. In fact, I didn't even hear the half of it." Solomon was able to prove her much more than what she even heard about him. His reputation was even greater, or his actual legacy was even greater than his reputation. And honestly, that is such a great thing when you find out that someone is even better than what you thought. Something was even better than what you thought, right? So she says, "Praise the Lord your God." She gave him a gift in verse 10 of gold and spices and jewels. And it says, never again were so many valuables brought in as the Queen of Sheba. The one thing that I do want to point out, okay, Queen of Sheba was a queen. She has this prestigious title. Do you notice how the Bible doesn't mention she's beautiful or not, or doesn't mention her looks? She might have been beautiful. But do you notice the Bible doesn't mention that? Remember when Bathsheba was mentioned, she was beautiful right away? The assistant that helped David when he was elderly and he couldn't get any heat because he was about to die, remember she was a beautiful virgin? So the Bible will tell you immediately if someone's beautiful or not. And so um, sometimes I think things like this is where we get that idea that you either have to be beautiful or accomplished. You can't have both. When Sarah is the first woman who had both, but you just have to, there just may be a pattern or a correlation, loose correlation. This is just something we should pay attention to because, yes, the Queen of Sheba wasn't, it doesn't seem like she was trying to sleep with King Solomon, but it does seem like she was impressed with him. It doesn't seem like he was trying to get her to be on his team or anything, but she just wanted to see if what she heard about him matched the actual person. When we read verse 11, so if the last chapter in chapter 9, Solomon has a navy, and the navy was finding valuables and bringing them back to the kingdom. So we have here, because also in 1 Kings chapter 5, the king of Tyre, his name was Hiram, he was friends with King David, who was Solomon's father. So now that David is passed, he's extended that ally relationship to Solomon. And so this king Hiram helped Solomon to get his home and the temple of Israel built. So seems like here in verse 11 that ally relationship is still continuing. So Hiram, his ships brought gold, red sandalwood, which sandalwood is one of my favorite scents. sandalwood, and precious jewels. King Solomon added to the temple with the wood from the trees and made lyres and harps. I'm sure you know what a harp is, but a lyre is another stringed instrument. Okay. And this is what it looks like compared to a harp. So see, the harp is this a triangular device, and a lyre is it's a string musical instrument, but you see how it's like this circle shape. But this one also says it's a lyre harp. I can admit that I am not an expert at that, but basically stringed instruments were made from the wood that was brought back from Hiram's ships, the king that was an ally to Solomon's father, and now that Solomon's father is gone with Solomon. Verse 13, Solomon gave Sheba all she asked for, and then she went home. So he had also given her gifts. Doesn't sound like this was sexual or anything. It just sounds like she wanted to just see if what she heard about this man was true. And the energy that he had, even though he's king, he wasn't angry with her for questioning him. He answered everything she asked. And I think I want to make it clear. The Bible doesn't say that. I think he had the confidence because he knows he's king. He knows all this is his. He is the one that provided peace. And so he doesn't have a problem with her asking him questions. Also, she did bring some gifts to him. It says that he also gave her gifts. Then she and her attendants returned to their own land. So seems like she just wanted to know if the man was all he said he was. Says in verse 14, in 1 year, the amount of gold Solomon got was equal to 25 tons. So in the margin of my Bible, maybe I should start taking pictures of it, but it says that this 25 tons was equal to $3.83 billion. The spices also added value. So he got gold, 200 large shield of hammered gold, 300 smaller shields of hammered gold. This is just detailing what he's got, how successful his kingdom is, and the items he was able to have. So, again, these units of measurement are not exact. So, verse 18, the king had an ivory chair covered with gold. He had 2 lions beside the thrones, stairs with 12 lions. No other throne could be compared with it. Very interesting that lions are associated with kings, because if you actually read how lions behave, they're not that great. The male lion is actually kind of terrible. It's the female lion that does all the hard work. But I mean, don't we as women feel like that? We do all the hard work with a smile and with heels on. We also see that King Solomon uses all gold utensils, solid gold, pure gold. Silver was considered worthless in Solomon's day. Everything he had to eat from was with gold. It says that he had a fleet of trading ships, but we read in the King James that it was a navy. But the navy was bringing in gold, silver, ivory, and exotic animals, apes and peacocks. He became richer and wiser than any other king. Every other nation came to consult him about his wisdom from God, and everyone who visited brought gifts that added to his value. Solomon had many chariots and horsemen in Jerusalem. And then when we get from 26 to 29, we're reading about Solomon's force of chariots and just the things he was able to accumulate. The immense wealth of Solomon. Well, thank you so much for clicking on the video. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.